If you would have told me 5 years ago that I'd be out here driving tractors, building a house, milling logs, I would have said there is no way. I'm getting a degree in computer engineering, why would I do that? But here I am. It's pretty crazy how life works out that way sometimes. About a month ago, we met a neighbor that was cutting all their trees down. They were just trying to get rid of them, and they said that we could have all the logs for free. So now we've ended up with just a huge pile of 230 logs, which is just crazy. For perspective, I've milled about 10 logs before, so this is gonna be a big project. So today we're just starting with some of the management for that. We have all these logs sitting on the ground right now, so we need to get them organized and get them up off the ground so that they don't rot and extend their life a little bit.
Especially when it's coming off like that, you're more than
So really this whole shed project has evolved into much more than just building a house. You know, it's a project of land management and now a project of all this milling that we're about to be doing. So you guys can expect to see some milling videos in the future too. A quick update on the house. We've been working on electrical and we've been back and forth with the utility company about the inspection and just getting things ready. So I didn't really want to bore you guys with another video of just doing electrical stuff. So we are working on that. We've also been making plans for our sawmill shed and our solar kiln. One of the first big projects we're gonna be doing with all this wood that we milled, the pine, we're gonna build just a covering for our sawmill so that it's out of the weather. And then we're also gonna be building a solar kiln, which will heat the lumber that we mill and dry it out, get it to the right moisture. And also it's gonna kill the insects inside the lumber. So we'll even take some of that wood that we milled way back the first time I milled with Alan and throw that in there just to make sure that all the insects are killed. because we don't want to start putting up wood inside the house and then find out later that there are a bunch of insects inside. So step one, we're just moving logs around and getting them up off the ground. So here's where we're at right now. We got a couple old pine logs, took all the bark off them, and we're starting with the smaller stuff, these tiny cedars, kind of organizing those. You can see we got a lot of logs to deal with. With being in computer engineering, I've thought a lot about the similarities and differences between that and the stuff I'm doing now. And one of the big differences I've thought about is, you know, if you're making a computer chip, it's always going to be constantly changing year after year, you know. There's always going to be a new iPhone the next year and the old one will become obsolete. But with this stuff, the trees are always going to grow. People are always going to need lumber. It's always going to be pretty much exactly the same. So learning how to mill wood, it's not the worst skill to have in the world. You know, I could just keep milling wood for the rest of my life and, you know, just do that. Or maybe I could just add a computer to a sawmill and try to make it like the fastest sawmill ever. I don't know. I got to give it to Dad. He's getting pretty good with those forks. And we've also been having some major problems with our tractor, leaking hydraulic fluid and stuff, so we've had to be really careful with it. That's another big maintenance thing that we're gonna have to do moving forward. This thing has been leaking hydraulic fluid like crazy. It is just insane how expensive it is to get hydraulic fluid for a tractor. Look at that. So we got these logs prepared. We also sprayed them with a little bit of bifenthrin to help with the insects, because we kind of don't want insects getting in all this wood. So we've been using this device a lot, and I think this thing is really cool. It's called a cant hook. If you're trying to move a log around that's over 1,000 pounds, it is just a hard task to do. But this is just such a simple device. You know, it uses leverage, and you can just easily move stuff. This is something that I didn't know existed, but I think it's like a really cool idea. I don't know how we'd be moving around otherwise, especially if we didn't have a tractor. I'm sure the Egyptians probably thought of this one. And another challenge that we've been thinking about recently is just how we're gonna get some of these logs up on the mill. You know, with our tractor, it's easy to pull the logs around, but once we have to lift a log, some of these are kind of beyond the capacity of our tractor, and we can't just lift it up here. We've been kind of designing a ramp system so that we'll be able to roll logs up onto the mill. So then we could either use the tractor to push them, or the cant hook to roll them up, or maybe even a winch up at top to pull them up. That's something we're working on and something we'll probably be doing in the near future. So you can expect to see a video on doing that here pretty soon too. Teleport! Can't believe that worked. Were you trying to go with it? A little bit further back. These are all cedar logs, and we have a ton of them. And we did a video where we milled some cedar, actually for our front porch right over there. Cedar is a pretty cool tree to mill because it's just beautiful on the lumber. It's kind of bright pink and purple right when you mill it. Also smells really good. And one of the ideas Dad just pitched was using these as fence posts and kind of leaving them looking rustic. I think that would be something cool to do. He was saying mill one side of it and then kind of just leave the rest how it is. And then we can put a fence all along the front of our property. This also still has all the bark on it, so we're gonna grab some knives and start kind of skinning them off and prepping them. It's not really at the right consistency yet. I can't get the nice peels. It's like all wet and mulchy. Yeah, when they're dry like this, it'll just peel off in sheets. So I don't know if maybe if we wait on those ones, it'll be easier later on. We are gonna have some epic bonfires after this. Oh my gosh. Don't mind if I do. Subscribe, subscribe.
All fried ends.
Oh, we need to cut this thing off. Oh, look,
Oh man.
we just found some nails in this log. If we hit that with our sawmill blade, it's game over for that blade. Oh.
Over them, man.
It's kind of short. It's starting to become a pile now. It's coming together. All right, we're gonna fly around the drone. Show you guys the scale of these logs we got going on. Guys, there's these flies that are everywhere and they're just attacking me. They're like little gnats. They're really annoying. I don't know if they're from the logs or just because we're in a field or maybe like animals, but they're crazy. Just landing on me.
Home point updated.
All right, here we go.
Takeoff. Home point updated.
Hello. All right, let's see what we got going on here. I'm gonna go spy on Dad over here. He's doing some chainsawing. What's he doing over there? He's cutting the little nubs off. Cedars have so many limbs on them and like they're just weird logs, so they're kind of a lot of work because you gotta just deal with all that. They're not super straight. You can see how big these logs are compared to my dad. And those are just the cedars. Those are actually pretty small, but then look over this. These are some big logs. Look at that, those are 20 footers. Southern yellow pine. That's some serious stuff. Look at this, let's see how high it can go. I mean, that is a serious log yard we got going on. Let's go do the property tour while I got the drone. So this is when you come in. We got the shed, and then you can see where the power comes in, and then where we dug our trench. That's about 100 feet from there. Come over here. We got the sawmill. You can do a 23-foot log on that thing, up to 30 inches in diameter. It's called the Woodland Mills HM130 Max. The little shed over here is our tool shed. The tool shed has board and batten siding on it. We milled that with Alan when he came out, and it's poplar. And that's the same thing that'll be going on our actual shed. We have some trees that we're gonna cut down over the summer, and so we'll put those on. And then check out this part right here, we call it the saddle. It's just so beautiful over here. Look at this. This looks like a commercial. Whew. The original plan for this property, there was gonna be a house built right in this spot. We've even talked about maybe down the road building another house right there, because this is just such a secluded part of the property. You know, there's like no one around. Just a nice peaceful place, surrounded by trees. And we come over here. This is our big hill. Very, very steep. I guess the drone kind of shows that. We got all this. Oh, 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 oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Had some weak signal there for a second. And then all through here, we have an old road that goes through the woods. It's a nice area. Now flying back over the saddle here. Over here, we have another steep hill. And then down here, we have our spring. So we could potentially get some water from there in the future. Also just some really pretty stuff down there. So yeah, we got some very beautiful land, and you know, it's 22 acres, so have to keep all this maintained or else the whole thing will just turn into a forest. Oh my gosh, the drone is killing the flies. I can't tell if they're being picked up right now, but there are so many by that tractor. That is so, what are those? They're all around me. Got a nice start going on with our cedar bunk. Took some time and skinned a lot of them. I think it's looking pretty nice now. Even though we barely put a dent in the total logs, got to start somewhere. So I am pretty excited about the cedar. Even though it's more challenging to mill, I think it's a bit more rewarding. We're actually gonna throw a log up on the mill right now, check it out, do a little trial run. I'm seriously getting covered in these flies. Oh man, they just swarm you. It's a long cedar. Kind of looks like it's gonna max out our sawmill. Well, we're gonna cut it in half, right?
19 feet.
19 feet.
19.7. Holy crap.
Putting in some back stops here so the roll doesn't just roll right off the mill. Yeah, that was actually pretty good. Sometimes they don't go on that easy.
All right. Need a wheelbarrow, don't we? All right.
It's like 10 and a half. This is where cedar starts to get a little frustrating because there's a lot of good lumber in there, but you just have all these little places kind of either have to go with the unperfect piece or cut off a lot of material. Is that it?
I think that's it. I think we just stop right there because we're gonna cut it, put that in. We'll have this end sticking out of the ground, right?
So this is at 6x8 now, and we're gonna be using it for building our ramp to get logs onto the sawmill. We're not really worried about it looking perfect, so we're just gonna stop this one like this and then move on to the next log. So when we're doing this, we measure on both sides and measure to the center of the log and then jack up one side so that they're the same. And then that's kind of how we deal with the taper. And so now that we've done that, we have the flat side, so we flipped it onto the flat side. And so now it'll work out on this side too. And then we'll do the same thing when we go back on the bark side. ASMR.
ASMR peeling.
Cedar veneer. We filled our cedar bucket and we got 5 gallons of fresh Chronice cedar sawdust added to the pile. It's the freshest cedar sawdust right now. Well, we managed to get these 2 6x8 posts out of just that one log. So we'll be using these soon. But I want to give a big shout out to everyone that backs us over on Patreon. Thank you so much for your support, and we'll see you guys next time.